Good morning, Aquarius. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. Little Apollo's here to wish you some love. I want to say thank you to both your sign and also to Pisces for being really patient and allowing me some time to recover. I had an ankle sprain. That's all that happened. And I just needed a few days to just take care of myself, stay off my feet, and feeling much better today. It's really interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about the ankle because, of course, Aquarius is related to that. And I've tried my best today to also kind of channel in messages associated with how you can find your strength and stability. So I'm going to put Apollo down and let's get started here. I'd like to begin by introducing myself. First of all, if you haven't come here before, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and we're going to be looking at September 2020, and all of the messages for that month. And also we kind of, at different parts in the reading, we'll even project out to the end of the year. So I'll get more into that in just a second here. This can be used for your sun, your rising, and also for your moon sign. So if you know all those different aspects of your chart, perfect. If not, then just stick with your birth sign and you'll get all that you need. And let's talk a little bit about the organization of how I do a reading. I have it in 4 distinct parts. I like to begin with channeled messages. And I'm old school and I kind of write it out on paper, and we'll talk about that in a second. This comes to me through dream, meditation, and also sometimes just as I'm tuning in right before we get started, as I select the deck of cards, I'll get some additional information. So psychic download at the beginning, then we move along to a regular Celtic Cross. And that will help us get a little bit more granular information on what to focus on for the month, high points, challenges, and all the in-betweens. After that, I'll do a quick review of everything that we talked about. Actually, there's an expanded forecast looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Then we'll do a review. Then we'll go a little deeper into one big idea for the month, which usually comes through organically as we read. And we'll look at past, present, and future influences with that. And then we do a quick meditation and a sound bath, which helps integrate all of that. So as you can see, gives you really a nice 365 view of everything that's going on. So let's go ahead now without any further delay and begin. One quick thing that I like to talk about before I get started, just to address, first of all, how I handle Q&A. And also I'd like to welcome Maria and Ryan. Both of these folks are amazing. They're my moderators, and they'll help answer any questions that you have while I am doing the reading, especially like what signs being read, where to find information, etc. And they also keep a nice organized space here, a nice safe space for all of us to chat. If you'd like to show support, you can use something called Super Chat, and the icon is right here by the emojis. And there we see one right now. With Super Chat, I don't really do Q&A or pick a card, so it's just a way to show support and basically say you like what you see. So whether you want to send a picture or kind of encouragement, I appreciate it. And I'll pin a comment after this is on replay and say thank you. All right, let's go ahead now and get into the reading. So as I said, everything today is going to be about you finding your strength and really standing tall, because part of what happened, ironically, just the day before your reading, I had an ankle sprain. And I did some research. Many of you reminded me too about Aquarius ruling that part of the body. And the kind of theme, if I were to pick one today, would be how to stand tall on shaky ground. And this could be in many different aspects of your life. It could be in a relationship, it could be in a work contract. It could be also literally just sort of making sure that you're more present and aware of what's going on. So as we look at the reading today, we'll see where you can find your strength, where you can stabilize things, and how you can, in some cases, regain power. I want to focus on power. That's the first thing that came through in both meditation and also in channeled writing here. So we have relationship power is what I was first kind of tuning into. And one of the things that came through specifically when I was in dream state last night was I could see the etheric cords that was connecting you to someone else. And it was so thick for some of you, it kind of looked more like a hose. And it looked to me like it was connected either through the heart or through the third chakra around the solar plexus where your belly button is. And with a connection that is sort of that big or that sort of wide, for many of you, that must be family or a really deep love connection. And what I was seeing you do in my dream was kind of manipulate or try to create less like some of you were stretching the cord a little bit or trying to create more slack. And for me, what this was really showing is that something was off a little bit. And it was almost as if you were afraid to just speak your mind or ask for something. And the partner or the recipient, the other person on the other side of that cord, just said, "Oh, what's up?" They could kind of tell or intuit that you needed or wanted something. So I would say, don't be afraid to ask. So if you need help, speak up. If you feel like there's some sort of an imbalance going on between you and someone else, try to talk about that as well. And I want you also to consider being realistic in what you commit yourself to, because one thing that I was seeing was a desire to say yes or make people happy. So being realistic is another way of saying don't overpromise or don't overcommit. And if you have a loved one, a boss, someone in your life that's trying to get you to agree to something that you know is unrealistic, then I said encourage others to do the same. You can also be like a reality check for them, saying, I know you want this. I know I would love to do this for you, but it's just not feasible. But here's some ways that we could try to make it happen. We're going to need more of this, more of this, more of this. So you can just kind of try to ground them. A lot of this is about grounding, about avoiding a trip before it happens. And in this case, that trip would be you tripping yourself up by trying to do too much, you maybe not speaking up and trying to kind of hedge around the issue. The other person senses something's up. It's more powerful for you to address it. And by bringing it up on your own volition, then you actually are able to control and navigate through how to solve it. For some of you, it may not be possible, I should say, to work something out. Sometimes the only way to move on is to move away, to move on, to release. You can't always force someone to see something from your perspective or to even see something for their own best interests. Sometimes people are stuck. They've kind of like put in a couple of roots and they're like, I'm not going to move from here. This is my position, like it or leave it. And in that case, maybe it is time to cut the cord, sever the connection, and move on. So first main area was about power in relationships of all types, whether it's love, work, or friendship. The same message will carry through. The next piece was really focusing on expressing yourself, using your voice or using your communication overall. So what I saw also in a dream, it was kind of interesting here, the metaphor, but you were at a crowded table, no one was paying attention, and one of those old-fashioned bells that you would see at like a hotel, you rang the bell and everything got quiet. And what I saw with this is that I feel like some of you have earned your opportunity to speak, to connect, to say something that's important. So if you've earned that seat at the table, embrace it and take this moment to say something that's important. Pay attention to the red flags and ring that alarm. This was also a metaphor for being able to communicate. I was talking earlier about somebody that may be trying to do something that's unrealistic. If everybody is in agreement constantly, if they're surrounded by yes people, then it is difficult for them to also avoid getting into a situation that ultimately could make them look not so good. So if you can also ground this in reminding them that this is not only best for you, but it's also best for them. It's best for sort of the larger, family group, company, whatever. I think that's going to be important. That being said, the voice of reason always isn't the popular one, or isn't always the popular one, but it also is an essential piece to avoiding something from happening. So just know that if something needs to be said, in the long run, I believe that, when people reevaluate a situation, they'll be happy that you spoke up. You just may not feel like you're the popular one in the moment. So doing what's right isn't always what's popular, but it still is what's right, and it still is what's best. And that should be your litmus test, and that should be your grounding rod here. Use your own voice and don't allow others to speak on your behalf. Don't use a borrowed voice either. So let me kind of talk about this a little bit. For some of us, we can't avoid having people, in a position of power speak. But if they're saying something that's not right, if they're saying something that you don't believe in, again, this would be ringing that bell and saying, hey, I heard you say this at the meeting. I want to just ground you in case you have the wrong information. This is what it is. So trying to inform, trying to support, and if it still isn't working, if they're going against something that shouldn't be happening, then you have to speak up. For the rest of us, it can also be a warning to not borrow words or inspiration from others. What you have to say in the way that you have to say it is the most powerful, because it's your thoughts, your words, and your frequency. So don't feel like you have to borrow from others, and also don't avoid using your own words or your own approach. So it's always more powerful to speak up and to be just be authentic, basically. And the next piece that this leads into is conduct, and that was kind of hinting at that. Set the example, and I didn't write this on the card, but it's something that you can infer, even if others aren't doing that for you. So you're going to basically lead by example, and using the sort of metaphor of a game, I would say play fairly and ensure that others adhere to the rules as well. And some of you may just be in this sort of situation where you're no longer willing or able or patient with putting up with people that aren't playing fair or supporting people. It could be as simple as being working in a company where there's just this sort of like hierarchy, and it might be based more on who knows who or who's been there a certain amount of years rather than qualifications or sort of like compatibility with the role. In a relationship, this can also be about the other partner holding you to a standard that they don't hold themselves. So this is a chance to basically look at this and think it has to feel fair, it has to feel balanced. That was the core tug of war that I was feeling earlier. Finally, and I think most importantly, when we're looking at that sort of piece of setting example, it's important for you just to see something through. And this is a message that I've been echoing at various points for various signs throughout 2020, but it's come up again for you. This time it was less about it. I think this could be for those of you that may be judged by or judging yourself on when it happens or how popular something is. So for those of you in school, it doesn't matter if you graduate with your class. It doesn't matter if you graduate with honors. It matters that you got the most out of the experience, that you learned from it, that you finished it. So whenever you finish something, it's your soul's path. It's your soul's duty to sort of see something through to completion. So it's the completion, and the completion in a way that you absorb and gain from that sort of finishing that matters. So finish, get what you need to get out of it, and don't worry so much about titles, awards, timing, judgment from others, opinion from others, because as the years wax and wane, what you're going to realize is nobody cares. And maybe this will help those of you that are younger out there, and it is sort of an East Coast, West Coast thing. Here on the West Coast of the United States, people don't focus as much on which university you went to. I know when I was on the East Coast, they did. Here, it's more important that you finished, and they don't really care about where you were in the class ranking either. It's just sort of like when your employer calls your institution, they just want to make sure that you didn't lie, that you graduated, and that you actually passed your courses. And I think that it's more important for us to get sort of like a great experience than to just focus on the GPA. GPA is important and it's a good motivating thing, but the soul doesn't care. And, and what we bring to our day-to-day life is common sense and practical skills and application of the knowledge. So if you can apply the knowledge and you've learned what you need to, you're exactly where you need to be. If you felt like you started a course or a schooling sort of thing and it didn't fit and you had to change, or you decided I want to do a different path, that's also perfectly perfect for you. So you've got to do what feels best for you, not what is expected of you. So timing and the way that it looks and what others feel about it, that's not so important. The reverse is true. Like if people think you shouldn't be able to go to school, who cares? Go to school, get your degree, do what's best for you. I'm really encouraging you to set a goal and finish it, whatever that goal is. And it's at any different part of your life. So even if this is a project or something that you kind of verbally promised something that you were going to do to someone, this is your chance to sort of help them out. If you said you were going to help them, build a house, this is your chance to finish that project. So whatever it is that you said you were going to do, just see it to completion. Enough with that. Next piece, and this was really nice. Also in the dreams last night, I saw that some of you are at a point in your life where you have the ability to give. It doesn't have to be money. It can be time. It could be an object. It could be just giving, passing down verbal traditions, history. But the act of giving felt so good. I actually felt this euphoric high. I was giving all these things away and just feeling freer as I did it. So give freely, no strings attached. It feels really good. And more importantly, for those of you that maybe can pass on an important object to someone, maybe this is a family heirloom, maybe this is something that someone can use in your life. Maybe, like if it's a student, you could give them an iPad or a laptop or some sort of tool that's going to help them through that next piece of their life. This is great. It's going to make you feel good that you've been able to help them. And again, doing so without strings. Once you pass that on, it's sort of like, I don't care what happens. It wasn't helping me, and I feel like it could really help you. So it can be just something that you have. You don't have to buy something. To me, it felt sentimental, and I saw this boost. It was a confidence boost, almost like, when you're a kid, you have like a blanket that you carry around sometimes, or a teddy bear or whatever. For this, it was an adult equivalent where it's sort of like, I can hold on to this and I feel a little bit safer. Reminding you again, it can be time, support, love, skills, such as in teaching or passing on some sort of a trade. It can also just be your presence in their life. So giving is good. This also makes you feel stronger. All of these things are about strengthening yourself, your power dynamics, your voice, how you conduct yourself. In this case, also letting go of things or supporting someone else. When you lift someone else up, you're lifting yourself up as well, because you're going to shine in their light. So it's a good thing. When someone else shines, you shine. Now for the trickier piece, and this is something that we all have to deal with. Life isn't just rainbows and unicorns. I love those, but it's not just that. So let's talk a little bit about conflict resolution. This is probably the best piece of advice I could give anybody, any sign, anywhere in life. But speak often and early. Avoid going into a silo or hermiting, to use a tarot term. Speaking up in a good way and just giving updates is so essential. Whether you're in a relationship, whether you're in a project, whether you're worried about something, whether it's a health issue and you're checking in with your doctor, communicate, talk, use your words, and use them a lot. But try to make them words that matter. So that's all I'm saying here. Like, it's better than waiting and putting all this energy into something and then finding out that you disappoint someone, or vice versa. If you just don't know what's going on and you jump to a conclusion, it's probably because all you got was a problem communication rather than steady communication of progress. So speak up, speak often, speak up early as well, and you're going to avoid conflict by doing that. If after doing that you're still experiencing issues, seek counsel, moral, legal, doesn't matter, to understand the situation and also to get perspective. I run out of room on these cards, and this is just to jog my memory, but I would also say to get perspective. If you are angry, that's okay. Anger has a purpose. We are alchemists. We can transmute that energy. So if you're angry, take the anger and use it to be constructive and to take some action. That's how we get change in the world to happen. If something's wrong, we get fired up about it, and then we think, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to change policy. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to write an opinion editorial. I'm going to protest, whatever. There's so many different ways that you can take that energy and put it into something. You can also use art, music, writing, dance to channel that and also communicate that feeling of, I'm angry and this needs to change. So whether it's something big in the world, whether it's something more in a personal relationship, resolving the conflict will also help you stand tall, stand strong when things are shaky. And you can learn from it so that it doesn't kind of destabilize you again in the future. Finally, we have celebrate your success and the success of others. I saw a big party, and for many of you, this is going to mean that here's the challenging thing. Sometimes it's difficult to kind of take a look at people around you that are getting ahead and feel like compare yourself to them. And I would try to kind of bring up the analogy of binary stars or like a constellation. When your star family is shining, your soul family or your friends and family in real life are shining and doing well, so are you. The fact that you're friends with them means that you're in the same gravitational pull, that you're all learning from one another, and it's nice to have that association. Celebrate them and know that when your time comes, they'll be there to celebrate you. There's no 15 minutes. Everybody's constantly evolving and shining and changing. And so I would say stop the comparison, be there for others. If they can't be there for you, that also illustrates that they have a difficult time and they might be going through something. But share the spotlight. We're all capable of having binary stars in our core relationships or a constellation in our bigger family, so we can all shine, basically. Okay. I saw a question asking about how this works for all of you. I bring through a lot of channeled messages here, so that anybody that's coming through, watching this live or on replay, one of these may very much be for you, because the way the channel portion works is anybody that comes into the room or watches this or learns about this, that the messages that come through, they're just for you, okay? Watch it over the course of the month. Know that some of these may also spread over 6 or 8 weeks, but the messages are here for you. Use them as you will. All right, let's move along now to the next portion, which is going to be the Celtic Cross. And this is going to give us some more tactical information on what's coming through again for September. And as I said earlier, I like to also allow for it to really kind of go where it needs to. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. After we pull this, it'll be on the side. So that gives me a chance to kind of let the cards take us where they may. So at this point, I'm going to remain quiet as I turn the camera down and pull out all the cards, but I'll be right back with you. So thank you so much. And welcome everybody again if you just joined. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. All right, so we have Direction Guardian here, Choose Your Path. This is your catalyst card. The card was reversed, but I love this illustration. I forget the name of this particular angel, the one that has 4 different heads. Maybe one of you can bring it up here in chat. But this is definitely one of the higher frequency angels that you can have. I want to say it's like around there's the throne and the wheel, and there's one other one. Anyway, this is one of the higher angels up there. What I like about the directional one, and what I can see with this illustration here too, is trying to see it from different points of view, from different perspectives. And I think that's what is illustrated best with this. We are not just kind of living our own experience in that silo. And one of the things that I was bringing up was speaking up often and also kind of early if there's something that you want to bring up. So what we see here is diversity and also the ability for everything to kind of come together. So for many of you, it's not about like everybody having to agree with one point of view or one way to do it. Maybe there's a way that there could be an overlap. I talk a lot sometimes about the Venn diagram. So in this case, we would have maybe 4 points of view. So you want to find where these are intersecting, where you can find a commonality, and that commonality will help you pick the direction. And that's kind of what I'm seeing at the center of this. So The other thing that is valid in this is that each perspective, it's kind of like language or religion. They are windows into a larger truth. So just because I disagree with perspective doesn't mean that it can't teach me or that there's not something in it that we can take that is valid. A lot of times, maybe there's just something that needs to be evolved a little bit. So this is showing that everything can help make up that bigger piece of the puzzle. And what you need to do this month, for those of you that are feeling conflicted, is to choose what resonates for you. This can also be sort of like too many cooks in the kitchen, because it says choose your path at the bottom. And so for some of you, this is a chance for you to kind of say, all right, that's what my mother wants. That's what my boss wants. That's what my kids want. That's what, society wants. This is where I feel like I need to be. Hopefully some of these people can support me and come along for that journey. But if they can't, that's okay too. They're going to have to use their own compass. And that's what we see. Okay. So beautiful card, beautiful illustration. I think someone asked me before, this is a Kyle Gray deck. He's a great Oracle card creator. It's illustrated by someone else, but I happen to have it nearby. If you're curious, it's really cool. All right. All of those are on my website, and my moderators can put the link. Okay. So let's go to the center. We have the Judgment card. It's upright. What I like about the way that this particular deck has illustrated it is that it's kind of the freedom, or the phoenix in this case, that kind of happens after you've made a decision and sometimes even suffered a setback. And let's take the word suffered out of it. I would say survived or learned from a perceived delay or setback. The hardest part often with the Judgment card is coming to the realization that you need to do something. It's, to me, a decision that hasn't fully been accepted or made or communicated. You know what you want to do. You know it will free you. The hardest part will just be kind of like taking that first step and moving on. What I like is we have this very Rider-Waite-Smith hand in the sky, which to me almost looks like it has like a little wand there. So to me, that could be like the Ace of Wands. And so once you let go of this, you get this new idea, this new energy to move forward, and you're free to move. So what I really think here is you have to give yourself permission to think, to move, to decide. An old Cranberry song came to me, which is Free to Decide, I think, or something like that. So don't be afraid to make the decision. And it's interesting, we talked a lot about training, learning, finishing. And what we have here is the Eight of Pentacles. And notice how he's kind of completing something here by putting the roof over top of everything. But for me, the Eight of Pentacles is about knowledge expansion, project work. It can also be about looking at the fine details, all of the written things that you might be working on, just making sure that contractually everything's okay. I'm doing the finishing touches on like formatting my novel. It's done. I'm just making sure that it looks good. But that finishing touch can also come through in this case as the Eight of Pentacles. If you're building a house, it might literally be the final stage of just painting or putting the last few sort of screws in the door frame or something like that. So this is where I feel like you've done a great job. Why not put those finishing touches on? And that's where the date that you might have picked or the timing that was expected, it's okay maybe if that slides a little bit to make sure that the quality that you've done so far has, it's basically carried through to the end. Another way to look at this, and I've never really seen it with the Eight of Pentacles before, is just don't get sloppy on the final stages. Have that same professional approach that you've taken thus far to the end here. If you're thinking of going back to school at any age, this is good. If you've changed your mind about what you want to do in life, this also is saying it's okay. Even if you've spent a long time doing it, maybe you're a mid-career professional, you've been like 15, 20 years doing something and you're ready to make a change. That mirrors something that I did as well, and it's okay. Go for it if you want to. So it's just making the decision, and you have to believe whatever it is you're trying to do, present or finish, before you let it out there, before you talk about it. That's the most important thing with communication, especially if it's an announcement, it's coming out, if it's a decision. If you believe in that decision and you see the value in it, others will as well, okay? Open your mind. We have the King of Wands in the Deep Pass, which is a wonderful card. the positive aspects of this that I want to talk about is that basically you can put your mind to anything and get it done. You have great management skills, and that's been earned with this card. Sometimes because of how much you know, understand, and have been through, you may feel like there's only one path or one way, or you may have a hard time opening up because something's worked for you before. So this is reminding you that in the past, there was always something that you had to try that was new at some point. So this is a chance for you to continue to explore, to not feel like taking a risk is going to take away the stability that you've done. This is just saying there's always different, like if we go back to the directional guardian, there may be another way. There may be another insight that you can add to this to be stronger. So keep an open mind, basically. Also, try not to get into other people's business too much. We've seen the King and the Queen of Wands throughout 2020 reversed a lot. And I think that the gift of this year has been for us to focus on personal development and finding what's best for us. That's not saying at the cost of others or ignoring others. It's saying that, you know, if people come to you, it's sort of that question, do you want me to listen or do you want my advice? And I think that's actually a good question that you could ask them. Just say, do you just need a listening ear? And at that point, you can just relax and let them talk. If they really want your help, then you can work a little harder. And I'm feeling there the activation in the third chakra around the belly button. And this is what some of you might be suffering with is, I know I can help this person, or I know that there's a better way to do it. I just wish they would ask me. It is their free will. And unless they're hurting themselves, everybody's free to live their own life. So focus on you. There's a lot of beautiful stuff that I see in your spread here. So when they're ready, if they're ready, they'll come to you. Big changes are afoot for you. We have the World card here. It's reversed, but Judgment is upright. So I feel like the only thing that's holding back the world is the decision that is sort of a part of this. And there may be a little bit of a fear of the change that's coming with going down this new path. So what's cool is the world opens up a whole new world for you. It could be a new job. It could be, you know, a move of like physical space. It could be a relationship. But basically, this is something that you've been working towards for a while. And the question for you really is, when do you want to do this? It's not an if, because we got the Judgment card at the center. So we see the 4 seasons here represented by the snowflake, the leaf, the flower, and the sort of like the fall leaf here too. But you can basically see we've got 4 seasons. So for you, this could be any time over the next 12 months. I guess my question to you is, are you ready now? Are you ready to make that shift, to make that change? Because it certainly looks like it's there and it's at your disposal. Sometimes we wait for a sign. And one thing that I'm receiving as I'm looking at all of this is that you make your own luck. You can be open to signs and signals, but you are also the most powerful kind of vessel to make things happen in your life. So if we're constantly waiting for the divine to step in, then we're not really owning our own divinity, right? So own it, you've got it. We've got the Queen of Cups in the crowning position, which is about channeling all of that divine energy that I talked about. So whether it's euphoric, like I'm just filled with love and joy and I want to share that, great, do that. Or I'm angry and I want to make something change. Okay, that's fine. Make a change happen. Your emotional state is going to be your power center this month. It's in an upright position. It's crowning this spread. So the sooner you understand how you feel and what you want to do about it, the more effective you're going to be at being able to make that change happen. And you'll be pretty compelling as well. So if I can relate to you on a heart level, if it makes sense, if it sounds authentic, if I just feel like you're being real with me, then you're more likely to have a great experience making this happen. We have the Star card here in the near future. So get ready to step into the light. Basically here, the Star card shows me that you know who you are, what you want to do, ostensibly maybe how you need to do it. Again, it boils down to a question of, are you ready for the spotlight? What the card is indicating is that many of you are now being called to bring light to something. And also, by the way, this is a very kind of Aquarian symbol here, the water bearer, even though you're an air sign. This is you too, on some levels, as I look at it here. And so you've been called this month to sort of, and this is you too and your ego, because we've got the King of Swords. You're being called right now to maybe bridge the gap between people in your life that are practical and emotional, because that's what we're getting here is a combination of emotions and being very cognitive. And so you are that gap. You are the one that can kind of help make sense of it to many people. You're the one that can bring balance, fluidity, movement. And you can also set the example. At the very least, this could be kind of talking about living, like walking that walk, talking the talk and walking the walk. So beautiful card. In the realm of relationships, this can show a higher partnership that could be coming through. And we see a couple of court cards here, the Queen of Cups and the King of Swords. So King of Swords is most likely you. The Queen of Cups would be the partner, which would be emotional and sensitive and open and receptive. So for those of you that are looking for new love, this portends good things. For those of you in a relationship, there's some decisions to make. It's a little different because we have judgment. And so there's a question here of what's next? How is this balanced out? And I feel like for those of you in a relationship, there's harmony that needs to happen. And if you're single and happy, then you have a chance right now to stand out and attract people to you. So no matter where you're at, it's good. But the Judgment card at the center is saying that it's really, really important to know yourself and to project what you need and to communicate what you need. So communication, as we hit upon in the channeled messages, that's where I think you really can find your ability to steer things in the right direction. All right. We have the King of Swords here in your ego. Love it. Really great. This is the ultimate card that could come through for your sign. Your other power is in how you communicate, how you hold yourself, your fairness, because again, all of these things are kind of implicit to this card. The other thing that I'm looking at here is not being afraid to speak your truth and stand up for yourself. There's a lot of strength in this, again, being the ultimate card representing air. If there's something that has to happen, be said, or be done, take a stand this month. It feels like you've got the right energy here, okay? So I'm excited for you. This can also be the delivery of your message, of your decision, whatever. Don't be afraid to be the one saying it, initiating it. And I don't know how many different ways I can say it, but I think it's so important that you use your own words and trust your own way of communicating. We all look at things and think, I could have done better, or someone else could say it better. Sometimes I think like it's more powerful to go and get a blank card and write your own message in there than to go and get one that Hallmark says for you. Just pick a few choice words, say it, write it, do it, and that's going to be so much more powerful. There's always fear of the unknown, no matter how evolved you are. There's always a question about, I don't know how it'll work. I think it'll work out. I feel good about this. I'm seeing that this is probably the right move. There's going to be a leap of faith that's required. One of the important things that we can learn from the Eight of Swords is transparency and not feeling like you're solely waiting for someone else to make a call. And it's never as bad as it seems. Eight of Swords is sort of like a card where you're waiting for something to happen. And I'm going to just say, you make it happen. That's really the message that I receive when I look at that. We have a very exciting card here with hopes, fears, and opportunities. We see movement. I love Knights because they show that something has the capacity to go to the next level. And so with Wands, it's taking an idea and spreading it. And we have a symbol that in some decks I would normally associate with swords. And so we kind of have now a 2-point sort of suggestion here, which is to start to talk about something with someone that you trust. We have a combination of the idea in the wand itself, and then with the bird, communication. And then also just the fact that this is taking flight. So once you've made the decision, movement happens. Again, the Eight of Swords, the thing that's pulling you back is really just the communication. For some of you, it's the acceptance. If you're not the one communicating and someone said something and you can't accept it, it's also just accepting that and then deciding what to do with that. So maybe someone wants to leave a company or leave a relationship, or maybe someone said something about their life that you don't agree with, whether it's a child or whether it's a friend, and you're just sort of trying to accept it. Well, you know what? It took a lot for them to kind of bring that to the fold. You don't have to do anything more than to listen and now decide, well, how does this affect me? How is this important to me? If it's just them living their life, good for them, and then pull the focus back to you, as we see with the King of Wands here in the deep past. And now as we look at where is this all taking you? Well, stability. I'm really happy to see the Hierophant, based on the fact that there might be that judgment moment in the beginning that kind of makes you teeter a little bit. This is bringing you a sense that I now understand the course of action. I now know what to do. I'm also stepping into a leadership position. And even though this is a kind of different illustration for the Hierophant, the messages that I was talking about when it comes to mentorship, or if you're deciding to do something, the two of these cards are super powerful, because this is, I'm setting it in action, and this is saying I'm going to see it to completion. So I feel like you've got what it takes to really make anything happen this month. The Star is a very, very positive card. The only thing that can hold you back right now is being too stuck in one way of thinking, or not being able to say what you need to say, not accepting something that needs to be accepted, not listening, or just being afraid of what a change in your life could bring through. But I see the potential for a new job, a new relationship, a new way of thinking, basically a lot of change here. And you didn't get a lot of cards around finances, but the one that you got was pretty good. Eight of Pentacles is about taking what you have, building on it, as we can see with this illustration. So no matter where you're at, you're able to move forward, okay? Let's go ahead now and expand the forecast, looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. I had to rearrange my decks because they got moved the other day, so that's why I was doing that shuffle here. We're going to start with your health card. The health card is about moving on, acceptance, right? And for many of us, that's the hardest thing, right? Whether it's something that we've chosen or someone else has chosen to do. It's difficult to sort of sometimes just feel like, wow, that happened. That's what's happening. Okay. And this card is saying, yes, but that's okay. Because you're never really alone. And that reminds me of that like footprints in the sand picture. Usually, if I remember it correctly, you're being held up by spirit, basically. We don't have to just make it about one religion. I would say we always have our guides. We always have spirit there holding us up, lifting us and pushing us in the right direction. So maybe separation, maybe moving on was, is, and will always be the best thing, because you've incorporated, you've learned, you've integrated all the lessons that you needed from that partnership. If separation is part of your plan, then you can do so with grace, with dignity, and with a light heart, and with forgiveness. So it's all on how you choose to diverge. And it is a choice. And if the other person chooses to make it messy, that's their choice, right? We can't always conduct all of that. We can just focus on how we're handling it. And that's the most important and most powerful part. Moving on is also saying, for some of you, if there's been something that's difficult that you've dealt with, whether it's a health setback, whether it's been some emotional pain, this is also about giving yourself the time, the space to heal, and then also to move to the next part of your life. I keep feeling energy right around my solar plexus. So I want to encourage all of you to take a look at relationships with your mom, with your dad, with your siblings, and possibly just with your younger self, because this is our inner child too. A lot of times if I read for someone, I'll feel the pain here. Our connection to our inner child has that same sort of umbilical cord connection. So forgiving even yourself as a child, if there was something that you wish you could have done better, this is also about that. Looking now at just general cards within the spread to talk about health. Some of you just need to make a decision that could be difficult. Maybe this is for a elective surgery, or for a change that you know you need to make, but you have to sort of decide, I want to stop smoking, I want to stop drinking, I want to get this surgery. Those kinds of decisions would fall within judgment. You know you need to do it, but you have to make the decision. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. The other thing that I'm seeing for many of you is just to not be afraid. Knowledge will diffuse the energy of the Eight of Swords. So do some research, talk to some different people. If one opinion scares you, check it a couple times and see if it's valid. There's a lot of seated energy here. The King of Swords, the Queen of Cups, and the King of Wands. And what we see here in the desired action is to move. So no matter what's going on, it's important to get some movement in your health, in your life, in your body. And I think all of that's going to help. All right, let's look at love now. says, get ready for new horizons. And we have a ship. There's no one on it. You could imagine that this, for some of you, could indicate almost like you're on the Six of Swords ship itself, and you've already made that decision to move on. I talk about like change cards. The Six of Swords and the Four of Swords, they're easier. They're easier to deal with than Death or the Tower or any of those really big sort of cards here. So what I would say for this is, if you start to prepare for something new, by the time you've started the journey, you're not going to feel like the seasickness that you normally would if you were on a boat or something like that. It's just going to feel like, yeah, I've been ready for this. I've been moving the whole time. So yeah, I'm not going to feel that this is any different. So it's already happening is basically the message that I see here. The top of it says faraway places. And for some of you, you may have considered that, you know, like, this is my home. This is where I will always want to be. One of the cool things with COVID-19 is it's changed the way that we work. So there might be some jobs that you could take that don't require a move. You can maybe do telework. So this is saying to broaden your horizons, to look beyond the obvious at the very least, and possibly beyond the physically sort of, you know, like 10-mile zone that you live in. Like it's time to kind of look bigger, go bigger. Bigger view, bigger point of view. That's the main message for wealth. There is a dissemination piece of this too. So in the long run, it feels like you will be trying to reach out to people from different parts of the world, different walks of life. For some of you, this could mean publishing. The Eight of Pentacles shows me that there's a little bit of work to do on it, but this is also a publishing message as well. As we look to the next piece of the expanded forecast, health, wealth, love, we have seeing through deception. It says basically someone is wearing a false mask in this relationship. This is a chance for a reveal to happen, right? And for many of you, it's hard to see someone with a different light. And if it happens, it's okay, because when the mask comes off, you know what you're dealing with. And it's sometimes the revelation portion that can be the most challenging. The other piece for this, if you feel like everyone is speaking the truth, this is also just about continuing to be authentic when it comes to what you want, what you need, and to be as open as possible to basically make sure that nothing like this is happening. If you feel like you need to talk about something, talk about something. You can lie to yourself just as much as others can lie to you, or you can lie to them. So be honest with yourself, be honest with others, be unafraid of seeing true colors. They're there to help you. Ultimately, this is going to help you step into something stronger. Most of the cards within your spread were very positive. So it feels like there's one area of your life this month, either in your own path or with someone that you care about, where there could be more transparency. Just walk into that transparency and that will help. As we look now at your destiny card, the destiny card is to some degree malleable in this spread. Unlike destiny in life, we have some things that we're called to do. This is really like the destiny that you're writing for yourself, the way that I read it. And we have like the divine voice coming through here. It says God speaks. But I believe God is everything. It's not just one deity. So what I want you to think about is your own divinity and your own connection to that. Imagine that this is the most powerful chord that you can make or that you can connect with. I was feeling like a physical connection that you had with someone else. I want you to have now a metaphysical connection with your higher self, with God, with the universe. Use this to help you navigate through the choices in your life. These are your two most powerful cards this month. Know yourself, and then be able to recognize others and the patterns that others might be having. Also look at everybody through that higher lens, and that's going to help you out quite a bit. Let's go ahead now, review quickly what we've just talked about here, and then we're going to dig a little deeper and see what's coming through in the soul path, okay? So let's start with the first line of messages that really had to do about relationship power in your life. Be realistic in what you can commit to. Don't overextend yourself. Encourage others to do the same. In fact, I would even bring up like, hey, I think you might be trying to do too much in too little time. Why don't we try to split this up? If you have the capacity to do that, or maybe you could offer to help, etc. Ask for help if you need it. It's better to do that than to let things build up and have sort of like a pressure cooker or a moment where everything explodes. You don't want that. Even up any sort of imbalance when it comes to relationships or that cord that I was feeling, which felt like a little bit of a tug of war. You don't need or want that. It's really important for you to release and cut connections if you need to, especially if we see this sort of moment where someone reveals a part of themselves that you didn't see before. If it was just a lie or deception, if it comes out this month, it's a blessing. Your voice matters, and your distinct voice and way of communicating really matters. Express yourself and never second guess that. You earned a seat at the table. So, really take advantage of that, use it. And I heard the bell ringing. So if there are any red flags, speak up, ring that alarm, and also just make sure that people listen to you. As I said before, the voice of reason doesn't always kind of equate to being the most popular, but it is really important to avoiding stress and distress for yourself and others. And finally, again, it's your words that matter the most. So you don't have to borrow, and you don't ever really want to let other people speak for you unless they absolutely have to because of some sort of power situation. The next thing was conduct. And it's really important to set an example for yourself, for others, play fairly, and ensure that others adhere to the rules. And also finish. The most important thing is just to finish, because it's part of your soul contract, ultimately. As we look at the power of giving, giving freely is what's important, unconditionally. It feels great, and it also frees you. It supports others. It could be some sort of cherished item or something that you know is going to just bring them a sense of joy. And you can do so many different types of giving. You don't need money. It can be time, it can be support, it can be love, it can be training. Whatever you give, just know that actually, it's an attractive force to bring more money and more abundance in your life. It's a good thing. Yes, we'll talk about this next. Conflict resolution. And this is really what's going to help you do. The whole purpose of all of these is to stand tall on shaky ground. But with conflict resolution, you want to make sure that the lines of communication are open. Speak often, speak early. Avoid being in a silo. You may think you're doing the best work possible, but you could be misunderstanding an instruction. Then you do something, and then it's not at all what the other person expected, and a conflict ensues. You had really good intentions, but it didn't work out. That's an example of how communicating more frequently and showing an incomplete work could have saved you both time. In a relationship, it could be assuming a partner wants something and continuing to do it, but it's not what they want. And then you have some sort of big argument. And it's like, well, if you would have told me that, I would have stopped doing it. I didn't like it. There's a lot of examples of how frequent and early communication, especially if something isn't working, it can help out quite a bit. Seek counsel, moral support, or even legal support to see the opportunities and to gain perspective. And then try to take any anger that you have and elevate it and transmute it. Anger is an important emotion. It helps us change. Just don't stay in that energy of anger, and you don't have to harm others. You can use it for action instead. Celebrate your success, celebrate others. We all shine together. There is no such thing really as the spotlight. If somebody's doing well in your soul family, you're all doing well. And all of this will help you stand tall. As we were seeing with this, there's a lot of different points of view. All of them are part of the divine. That's why we're seeing this elevated energy. If you read the follow-up to A Wrinkle in Time, I believe this particular angelic being is a part of that book. And I forget the name of that one. But anyway, this is a high frequency being that we're seeing here, and it's showing us there's a lot of ways to see things. It's not just one point of view. The most important thing for you is to choose your own direction. Otherwise, you're going to have a difficult time. It starts with an O, O-P-H something, Ophanen, something like that. But anyway, this is a type of angel. It's showing different points of view. And the main thing that this angel is showing us is that none of them are right or wrong. This is where sometimes I get sad by the fact that we fight over religion or language or cultural beliefs, because they all have a lens, they all have a purpose. And if we could see sort of how they all kind of connect, it would be a lot better. Okay, we have judgment at the center, and judgment is really encouraging you to be able to make a decision, accept others' decisions, to move, basically. The block here that we see in the Eight of Swords really is happening for some of you just in your head. So once you allow that to shift, then this movement starts to happen. For some of you, it's a decision that I want to finish, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to buck the trend a little bit and try something different. go for it. Great time for training. Focus on managing your life. You have all the skills to do it. Don't worry about other people until they come to you, unless they are in some sort of harm. Otherwise, you're doing fine. Keep an open mind, as we said earlier with this. Movement wants to happen. Change of job, change of relationship, change overall is the kind of thread that wants to flow through all of this. Your passion and your voice are the conduit to make that change happen. That's the diagonal that we see right here. So heart, voice, soul, it will lead you in the right direction. Could be a high partnership coming through if you're single and looking. For those of you in a existing soul contract, what we're seeing here is a decision. Do I want to stay or do I want to go? Can we work through this? And maybe you can, and maybe you're deciding that it's time to move on. Whatever your decision is, it's valid, but you probably are going to be the one that needs to make the decision. Transparency is important. Try to communicate often, early, and with constructive elements. Once you've made a decision and you are ready for something, we see movement happening here. We also see reception, positive reception here between the star and the Knight of Wands. Ultimately, you're setting into action a new, stable future. The Hierophant is a nice card for building new structures. It's a nice, firm foundation. So I like where you're headed. As we expand one more time again, it's time to move on with respect to health. Do what's best for you. If that means quitting a job, if that means leaving a partnership that has kind of fallen apart, it's okay. You're fine. Sometimes that means that you've learned everything that you need. If you want to work it out, that's fine. Get a contract in place. Get a lawyer to help with that, perhaps. Other elements of health just mean are just encouraging you to pay attention to the signs and speak up, as we see with these two. With wealth, think bigger. Think beyond the borders of your own home, your own community, or your own limited sort of perspective in a particular situation. Go above it and think, you know what? I never thought of it from that point of view. Actually, this is a really great idea. I'm going to try that. You might be able to work in a way that you haven't before. Whatever it is, it looks like it's going to open things up. Your money card is pretty good this month, so just keep working on what you've been working on, and I feel like you're in the right direction. Be honest. Ultimately, if we take the word deception out and flip it around, it would just be honest. Honest and open, and again, with anything that you need to do, don't try to somehow deceive yourself or others. It's better to just get it out there. All of this will connect you to your higher self and to the higher selves of others, and that's ultimately going to serve you real well. So hopefully that helps. Let's go ahead now and look at past, present, and future influences. And we're going to see if there is a way for you to kind of break through some things here. So as I look at the center of this spread, I'm looking at King of Wands, Judgment, and the World. I want to see how you can step into that feeling of thinking like, I'm ready, I'm okay, I know what I need to do. Holding on less to kind of like what people are thinking around you and maybe getting a better understanding for yourself. We have the Four of Pentacles, and it's a very foundational card in this particular spread. But there's still some elements of this that I want to talk about. It was reversed, by the way. Four of Pentacles usually shows one holding something close to their heart. Sometimes it's a resistance of letting it go. It could be sort of like, if I step out of this relationship, what will be left? You know, I'm X amount years old. Will I be able to find someone else, or whatever it might be? You could also be working on something that you love. Maybe you're a painter and you've spent a year creating some work of art, and it's never going to be completely done because you're a perfectionist. The Four of Pentacles for you could be that understanding that it's beautiful, it's done, and I need to let it go so that the next thing can come through. It can be a fear of having enough, because a lot of times when I see Four of Pentacles and Five of Pentacles, it's less about cash or money or exchange, and it's more about what a parent, a guardian, a teacher, or a loved one has done to diminish self-worth. This card is going to be really about rebuilding your self-worth, because if we look at the center, look at all the money, and you're basically putting down a new foundation, right? Don't be like the squirrel and bury all these things and forget where it's at. Show what you can do, share what you have, bring forth the new sort of chapter in your life, and that's really what we see with this. New foundations. And Build yourself up where others could not, because this is your true potential. The ability to build great things and do great things and weather any storm, okay? So I feel like for some of you, it's rebuilding a piece of yourself that maybe you lost, or maybe that someone just didn't have the imagination or capacity to sort of see. So that doesn't make it any less powerful or possible. Let's focus on the present influences. And so for this, if I look at the spread, some of it has to do with building. Some of it has to do with stepping into the light here. So I really want to see what we can do to allow you to be the star. Queen of Pentacles, love it. So this is taking that one coin that we normally see in the Four of Pentacles and saying, you know what, I can make this even bigger. And this is enough to sustain me. And I see the value in myself. This is a card of motherhood. This is a card of nurturing, of abundance and fertility. So you have what it takes to make something work. Your own life, other projects, you can help others. There's a nurturing vibe that goes through this. Also, for those of you that might be considering being a parent, this is saying you've got what it takes. Even if you had a poor example growing up, you don't have to repeat that. I see nurturing energy here. I see loyalty. I see a little dog like I have back here. Lots of great things showing that you've got what it takes, okay? So love yourself, nurture yourself, do what you need right now to allow for yourself to feel supported, and that's the most important thing. Let's focus now on the future one here, which as I'm looking in the spread, I actually want to look at two things. How can you be more honest with yourself? Because when I look at the environment, it's the Eight of Swords. And so that could also be others not allowing you to be honest or not being realistic. It could be yourself. We have the deception card flipped, which again is just honesty. So what can you do to sort of be more transparent, more honest, and embrace more of the energy of this star here again? The Tower, change. Choose to make a change. And this is a tower by choice, not by decree. This is the future. So what we have here is the world. The world and the judgment card are showing me that it's a chosen, let's see if I can pull one more up here. This is really kind of like your message to get to this. This is the change that this is the change at hand. You know you need to make it. There's a lot that's going to happen with it. And as you do this, it means that you're going to create a new foundation in your life. But the Tower can be exciting because this means that it's the element of surprise. It's your singular voice. It's the unexpected nature of what you're doing that's going to bring people in, that's going to allow you to do new things. Notice, interesting, at the top of this tower is a bell. I've never seen that before. And part of the main message for you was the bell. So one voice can change the world. One person can change the world. We've seen that many times. We've seen even over 2020 how singular events and singular people are changing culture, politics, medicine. And so, you know, we even see that in the past when you look at someone like Marie Curie or something like that, or Albert Einstein. Ideas are powerful and they can be like that, a catalyst for change. So if I look at this, I see something that many of you are working on. I see something of value, and I see something that has a catalytic change that it can do in a good way. So don't be afraid to make a change. It looks pretty good to me, but it is a change, and change can be uncomfortable, but that's the nature of change. So the question for you again, as we kind of get into the guided meditation portion in just a moment, is, are you ready for that change? I hope you are, because there's something beautiful at the other end of the rainbow if you're ready for it. Not only beautiful, but sustaining. So it's okay if you want to make a shift, a change, or some movement in your life. Hopefully that helps. I'm going to move along to the meditation now, and I want to focus on stabilizing us, since I even experienced it right before I did your reading, a little bit of instability. So I'm really going to focus on grounding and stabilizing you, and then helping you see the value in yourself and bring about the abundance and growth, even if it's meaning walking away, changing, going in your own direction, okay? So one moment, I'm going to get my singing bowl, get set up here. If you haven't yet hit the subscribe button and the like button, please consider doing that. It helps YouTube just see that this is worth people's time. So I appreciate it. It costs nothing to do that, but it makes a big impact on the channel. I hope you all stick around for this as well, because the singing bowl portion is great and it helps us kind of shake the cobwebs in our head a little bit. And then at the very end, I'll get out my phone and I'll Google the name of that angel, because I think I know what it is, but I need to get the spelling of it. So I'll do that at the very end, but I want to finish everything first. Okay, so imagine yourself, if you will. I like the beach piece of this. This looks really peaceful, actually. So let's see ourselves by that beach, if you will. So imagine yourself by a beautiful beach where the sand has been cleaned and groomed and is beautiful. And we need a tree in this meditation. So pick your favorite type of tree. It can be a palm tree. It can be a different type of tree if you'd like. Sit back against that tree, take a nice deep breath. And I want you to just feel the support for a moment. Feel the warmth of the sand, which has been heated up from the sun shining all day. Feel the strength of the tree, which is, for the sake of this meditation, let's imagine that it's a few hundred years old. It's been there long enough to see a few lifetimes of different people. And as you sit here on your own private beach, you just get this sense of serenity, strength, and support, which you always have in your mind, body, and spirit. But sometimes it feels like it's not there, or it's distracted, or it's taken away. I want you to think just a few words in your head. I reclaim my power. It's like 4 words. I reclaim my power. I reclaim my strength. I see my worth. I see my value. These are important thoughts to program into your mind, into your auric field, and to just honor, because as you do this, you're setting down the firm foundation that we saw with that 4 of Pentacles. That is basically saying, I can do this. I don't need others to say it's okay, or it's good, or it's right. This is exactly who I am, what I need to do. This is where I need to be headed. You're going to set your compass right now to your true north. Put that in your heart. Imagine that you're actually kind of like calibrating it. You're calibrating it with the words. I know who I am. I know what I need to do. I'm of value, and I value that. I value that. Put that in your heart. Trust it. Feel yourself now being pointed in a direction. Take a moment now to tune into the energy of the ocean tides as they are bringing the power and the energy of the moon. Also, this sort of cleansing agent up to the edge of the beach. Your feet are just touching the edge of the water, so you get a little bit of a clearing there. But you're also feeling the energy and the sound and the spray from the ocean as well. So you're receiving a second sort of clearing. This mist that goes over you, the salt in it as well, which is clearing you. The sound, so that sine wave that's going to go over you. And then even maybe just a nice breeze as well. So you are grounded, you are cleared, you are really now at this strong point that you haven't been before. And you just feel this sense that anything's possible. I want you to close your eyes now if you haven't already. Allow for a single ray of light to shine through the tree, shine on your third eye. And as we play the singing bowl, I want you to imagine that you are going to set the expectations for the future, see what's possible. Start to call into your mind's eye, imagining that it's like a movie projector at a theater. You're going to start to project what you want, who you are, and you're going to send it out into the world. Kind of like we saw with the sort of energy from up high here with the God Speaks card. So imagine that you're projecting your divine truth. Take a deep breath. Exhale. And now allow this vision that you've projected to come back into your mind's eye and take residence there so that you have something that you can compare, plan, and start to navigate using. Allow this to be your compass for the future and see value in that. Believe in it. This belief is what's going to actually breathe life into it and allow it to come into fruition. Before you open your eyes, I'd like you to take your hands and rub them together. Put your left hand on your heart, the right hand on top of that. Feel your own power, feel your own strength, feel your own value. And again, allow yourself to see yourself as more than perhaps others have before. And allowing for that value to kind of set in there will help break through any sort of blocks that you've had up until now. Welcome back, everybody. I'd like to take a few moments here just to thank everyone. At the very end, after I've done all this, I'll pull out my phone and see if I can find the name of that angel. I think I have it in my head, but I want to finish all of this first. First of all, for anyone that has shown me some support through Super Chat, I'd like to say thank you. I saw we had a new member join as well, so welcome to you. Thank you so much. That is another way that you can show support, is by joining. I have some of you that are great and help me out with Patreon. Some of you are also members here. You can just click the join button and that allows you to be a monthly contributor. The cool thing here with how membership works is you can stop and start at any time. You'll still keep your badge, I believe, even if you stop it and restart it. So that's cool. You get some perks here on YouTube where you get special emojis and little badges just showing that you've been a supporter for a certain amount of time. It's the same perks overall that you would get with Patreon minus the sort of embellishes here. I'd love for you to follow me on social media if you haven't already. My username across all of these is Nicholas Ashbaugh, exactly as printed here. I use both Instagram and Facebook the most. I use the story feature there to remind you of upcoming readings, and I can put a link in those. On YouTube, if you subscribe and look at the member tab, I will post a picture of all the stickies or the index cards that I used here. So that's great if you want to have a chance to review something that you didn't get in your notes. I'm on TikTok, and as I said, Patreon is another way that you can show monthly support if you'd like to. I just want to say thanks for everyone that's joined me across those different platforms. The only one that has a different username is Twitter. It's @nashbaugh. And same thing there, I will remind you of upcoming readings. If you can't remember all of this, don't worry. It's all on my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. And if you want to find a way to get to all of this, whether you're on the phone or on the computer, you can just go to my profile and click on the About tab, and it's all there. On the phone, I think you just click my picture and then you go to About, and you can get all those links. I also have a PayPal link, which is just, again, my name, so paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. So thank you for everybody who's stuck with me through the reading and liked and subscribed. I appreciate you. Let me take a minute here just and see if I can find the name of this angel, because I remember vaguely how it was spelled. And if not, what I'm going to do is put it in the pinned comment. So let me see. Yeah, it's Ophanim. This was a slightly different one. This was actually the wheel. So it isn't that. It's one of the three. I think it's one of the three archangels that are kind of highest up. Here it is. Traditional. This is through Daniel. Okay, so I guess it's cherubim. That's what it is, because we see in this old-fashioned sort of thing here, that's the throne, that's the cherubim. So that's a cherub, I guess. A true cherub, not the one that we see kind of associated with like Eros. So very cool. What I like about this, again, is the different perspectives. And I think that that's what this was really trying to show us, is that there's more than one way to do it, more than one. Even as we look at this, we kind of see the difference between instinct and intellect and also even communication. It's kind of like everything's represented here. So when we can kind of pull all of that together, I think that's when we're at our strongest. Anyway, thank you so much. As you can see, Ryan just reminded you, I will be doing Pisces tomorrow, same time, same place. Thanks everyone for giving me the time to take care of myself and to heal. I gave you everything that I could this morning, and I couldn't have done that if I didn't have a day off. I was in pain when I had sprained the ankle, and I didn't want to do a reading on pain. Thank you so much. I see we have 2 new members at least today. That means the world to me. Thank you for joining this community. And I may be doing a Q&A in a few months. I'm very close to releasing a book. So once the book, once I have a release date, I'll do a Q&A, and I'll take member questions first. So if you're on Patreon or if you're a YouTube member, I'll allow you like first access at asking some questions about that. In the meantime, much love and light to everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks again to Ryan and Maria for helping me hold this space, and for everyone for showing up and being patient about me needing to cancel the first one. And welcome again, a couple new members that, again, love it. Welcome so much, and I'll see you soon, okay?